Hello, everybody, and welcome to this broadcast of Asymmetric Habits. I'm Jerry Hanley, your friendly neighborhood professional strength and conditioning coach, with Jonathan Pishner, your friendly neighborhood professional counselor. And together we are two meatheads, two nerds, with an equal passion and sharing how small changes in little habits can help you change your life. So today's topic is on getting back in shape, and like so much of the information out there is focused on the do's and don'ts and the physical changes to make regarding exercise, regarding nutrition. There's not much out there about the mindset that it takes to actually start this journey back to fitness. And like, you know, so such a frequent topic of the show is how getting your mindset right can really be one of the key factors in determining the longevity and success of this journey back. And getting back in shape, it's one of these things that almost everybody eventually gets to a place where they feel like it's like they would like to get back in shape. Some of them never make it past that point of just simply wanting to, but many people do try, but then fail part of the way there. Some people get there, but then they fall backwards. This is just such a common topic that touches a lot of lives, that we felt that talking about this and really helping people improve their chances of success with getting back to fitness would be a valuable topic.
Yeah, and now thinking about the way we framed this, getting back to fitness, so specifically talking to the people who were there at one point, whether that was in junior high, high school, young adulthood, late adulthood, but somewhere along the way they fell off. There's some unique challenges that will come with that, not least of which is the focus on the glory days. Like, I remember when I could deadlift 1,000 pounds, or fill in the blank, whatever it is. Um, that's always been my perception of like the extra difficulty in getting back to fitness instead of just starting the journey. Would you say that's probably right?
I would. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so if we think of mindset stuff, one of the things that is so troublesome and so difficult is like breaking things into chunks and figuring out which chunk you should be working on.
Mhm.
Because um, happily, ever since I like got to a high level of fitness, I haven't dropped off yet. But that's because I kind of came to fitness later in life. I didn't really get fit till I was like 30 or 32 or something. Um, so I haven't got to do this part yet. I've just gotten to watch it happen. Would you say that like one of the things that people get messed up is if they've been to a place of fitness before, they had systems, they had big systems in place, and they try to redo the entire damn system all at once. So like in my
Yep.
head, I would think they'd be like, okay, well, I got to do my weightlifting, and I've got to do my cardio, and I've got to do my supplements, and I've got to do my protein, and they try and invent the entire system all at once.
That is 100% right. They try to get right back into it the same way that they were before a lot of times. And which makes sense. It's like if you've been there, then you feel like you know how to get there again. But the biggest obstacles are, well, one, they probably forgot. Most people tend to forget an accurate representation of what it was really like for them starting the first time around. Uh, just memory. It's just not a thing we necessarily hold on to as core memories. The
Mm-hmm.
other part is we drastically underestimate the how much like our overall routine and atmosphere played a role in getting into shape that first time around, and realizing that if you're not you're likely not in that same situation. So chances are that simply treating it exactly how you were before won't work. This happens a lot when it comes to people who were in shape when they were younger, say people who were athletes in school, and just at some point through adulthood they stop making fitness a priority, and then down the line they want to get back into it. When they were in school and they were an athlete, their list of responsibilities was way shorter, and their routine was pretty much mapped out for them. And then you throw in, a job, potentially a family, financial stresses and struggles that you weren't in charge of before.
And each of those is like 9 things. Like job is not one thing. It's like 9 things. Family's like 12.
Right, exactly. Like all those things make simply following the same steps as before a lot less likely to succeed. Yeah, there are clues. Like being there definitely leaves you with clues about what to do. So you're a little bit better prepared from that aspect. But following the actual same path is almost always going to be a path to failure. Spoken
Yeah.
from experience, by the way.
Yeah.
But like I see it too. Like it happens all over the place. So I feel like a very big part of for people to successfully start getting back in shape is like is accurately assessing where they're at, not only in fitness, not only in health right now, but also in terms of other commitments, responsibilities, and like you said, basically decide what will actually work with where I'm at right now and what will get me started moving forward.
And let's go ahead and address the thing. A lot of us, I'm including myself, a lot of us really enjoy the fact that we are or were fit. And so it's very hard for our ego not to become involved. And the horrifying truth of our ego is as soon as we have difficulty getting back there, the ego is going to speak up and be like, see, you don't want it enough, or oh man, you suck, or like, and it's very hard to like for a lot of people to humble themselves and be like, okay, I got to actually start at the beginning instead of just trying to pick up just like I was before. So in a way, there's a lot that can be replicated from the beginner's fitness journey. Happily, you can shortcut a few things because you're starting off with more knowledge, but there's a few things that you replicate from the beginning part of the journey. And the difficulty with that is most people kind of don't even remember what the beginning part of the journey was like for them. Or it's non-replicable. So like, I mean, when you were in high school and like your job at 4 p.m. was to leave school and go to football practice, that's non-replicable because now you don't have that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like,
so
continue.
The thing I would think then is there's kind of 2 paths. There's the path of, okay, here's my goal, but I know I can't start there. I've got to start somewhere before it and just chunking it. And then there's a different one that's better for some people, which is a path of not even having a goal as such and like almost ignoring what's over there at the imaginary finish line and basically just looking at like what is today's thing and not even thinking about tomorrow, next day, day after, next week.
Mm-hmm.
So and those are both worthy of talking about and breaking down a little bit.
Yes, there are so many steps in this that that can help people. Like you mentioned about learning pieces from the beginner's journey. Like like I said, like there's a lot of technical aspects you can learn from that. If you can remember what the type of workouts you guys started with, or of course research the type beginner friendly workouts, or of course hire a professional who will help you get started as someone who's trying to get their journey, as someone who's trying to restart that journey back.
Mhm.
I can tell you, like I feel like in terms of personal trainers or strength coaches, there's professionals who have specialties, niches, and even just passions with a lot of these different things. So guarantee, like I know that there are personal trainers out there who, when it comes to say like adults, if they're working with somebody to get back in shape, but that person's been in shape before,
Mhm.
they will enjoy that a lot more because it's almost just like a clearer vision of like, all right, like we're getting back to where we were. It is different, even if the current health and fitness profile seems the same. Helping you get back in shape is different and feels different and will be different than getting in shape for the first time. But you can take a lot of those actual workout routines and treat them pretty similarly, at least early on. And if you were like, that's one of those things, like step one, I would say is definitely like when you get started, simply just try to get it. I mean, just simply try to get started. Like that's like you mentioned goals and you may not know what it is. honestly, like especially if you've tried this before, if you're someone who's tried to get back in shape before and you just haven't been able to stick with it, make that first goal just simply like doing the thing. Like I know you talked about that before with things like this, like just simply get to the gym or get to your workout spot. Like, just simply commit to doing the exercise like more days of the week than not. Make that your goal instead of thinking to yourself, like, okay, like I want to lose 40 pounds. Just simply make the goal the one step at a time, getting the exercise in, and let any further goals pretty much develop on their own or come later.
Well, and usually I'll encourage people to break it down further, because let's do the busy adult example. I mean, if we're thinking of somebody who was fit in college, they want to get back to it. Well, okay, now they might have a spouse, now they might have kids, now they got a career, now they've got to manage home ownership, and they've got all this stuff. Well, what is the actual first challenge that they are going to experience? And you already said it. Find the time. So the before we even like develop a workout, I'd be figuring out with them like, okay, if this is the main barrier, like create the time and arrive at whatever the workout space is, whether it's the garage, the gym, it would be, all right, what are you reducing? Because first goal is we got to carve time away from stuff you're already doing. And if you're lucky, we can reduce time from Xbox and Netflix, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes it's, oh, wow, I have to carve time away from important stuff. So is it carve time away from work, kids, sleep? Hopefully none of those, because those are really not ideal to have to carve time away from. But I mean, if necessary, because the quote circulating the internet at this present time is, if you don't make time for fitness, you'll have to make time for illness, which is probably pretty accurate. But starting to figure out where do you have to extract the time from is going to be number one. Now, the beautiful thing is, I kind of like threatened people with like, oh, look, you might have to take it from sleep and work and kids, but you usually don't. Most people, if they time audit, they can find 30 minutes that is not well spent. And most of us can extract 30 minutes just from scrolling on our phone if we do it right. But that by itself might be step one. It might not even be arrive at the workout space yet. Just like identify, where am I taking the time out? Step 2 or step 3 might actually be arrive at the workout space. So one of the things about one of the challenges of having the ego involved is you have to kind of be willing to say, yeah, I'm going to have trouble with this. And yes, my first step isn't even arriving at the gym. My first step is figuring out where I'm going to take the time for this. And for people with their ego involved, that's a very hard thing to admit, like, wow, I'm starting kind of even before step 1. Like this in video games, this is not even the tutorial level. This is like having to watch a YouTube video on how to play the tutorial level. And like that sucks. And most of us feel dumb when we have to like break it down to that level. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because that's so common. I want people to know it's not dumb. It's like, yeah, this happens, and this happens to way more people than you think it does.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're not a dummy. You're just like, yeah, it just happens.
Yeah, like I do feel like there's a lot of shame and embarrassment in this situation. Like when you're in this situation, and again, like the part of it is definitely having been in shape before, and then you're just ashamed that you're where you are and struggling to get back in there, and that you can't seem to figure out how to get there. But like I said, this actually happens to, without ever having seen data. I'll preface this. Like I would put money on this happening to the majority of people who are in shape, whether athletes or not, younger in life at some point. Is most of them have at least some period where they get out of shape for a while and then are trying to find their footing to get back. And again, they find that the game has changed a little bit for them. You're so exactly right. Like when you say about extracting time being that first part for an adult with a busier schedule, and that brings up like something that I think is like one of the really big, like useful parts of this to people that again they tend to not think about is when finding that time is like when you're really trying to get back in shape, start minimal. Like it's like so many of us when in that situation, we're instantly thinking, okay, we need to exercise an hour, like each
I
workout
can
needs
do 15 reps of 30 sets of yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like we pull out the full workouts that we got from Muscle and Fitness magazine or the Arnold Encyclopedia. Like, yeah, 3 sets of everything,
I still
um,
have mine,
body
that thick
parts.
encyclopedia.
Mine died in the flood. But it's like, but yeah, like you're like, full body part splits, like a chest day, a leg day, a shoulder day, a back day, an arm day. And just the workouts need to be like an hour, hour and a half long. And I said, like, no, when you're really talking about getting back, like find the minimal amount of work that gets your body healthier and make that the consistent point. And just like you said, you can probably find a half hour, honestly, even just scrolling your phone or something like that. A half hour is a pretty good start for even a total body workout. You can go and do 3 sets of dumbbell or barbell squats or leg press, whatever, so like
Oh,
that, or a 30
you
minute
just
walk.
said something there, and I want to highlight it because it's so good. Uh, I want to phrase it in a different way. Like, okay, do a thing that's going to get your body healthier. And for the moment, because people who have been fit, oh God, and I know if I ever fall away and have to come back, this is going to be me too. Because for fitness, we end up optimizing a lot. And so we're vulnerable to wanting to optimize it all right up front. And so one of the things I would say to people is like, as you're figuring this out, like, because the main thing is just start having the time and just start doing something. But then we'll be vulnerable to wanting to like take that 45 minutes and like just make it perfect. And the thing I would encourage people to do is like, the main goal is just making sure you consistently get the 45 minutes.
Mhm.
Whatever you fill that with is fine. Even if it'll take 197 years to get fit doing that thing, like fine, because just finding the 45 minutes and doing
Yep.
something for that is the step you're on. You can optimize later. Like just take the 45 minutes and do a 45-minute walk. That's perfect. Do 45 minutes of like just farting around the gym and like, I don't know, I'll do some curls today. I'll
Yep.
and being okay with the fact you it's not time to optimize yet, because what we're optimizing is the habit of get to fitness place, do things.
Yes. I have so much to expand on this. um, yeah, like okay, so one of these things that we struggle with. Okay, so the person who is brand new to fitness, whether we're talking 13 years old or 63 years old, the person who's brand new to fitness has likely the mental perspective at the start of comparing themselves to where others are. And that can be hard, like to getting started. A difference between that person and someone who's getting back into fitness is you have that to some degree, but you probably have that shame of getting back to where you used to be. Again, like that's where you keep comparing yourself to where you were. And you probably have friends from when you were fit who are still fit or at least something like that. And again, like there's almost that just social comparison or social shame of like, man, I couldn't keep up with it, but they could. It's one of these, it's just the same social rule of like there's always someone who blank better or worse than you. And that's just what we're seeing. But it's really easy for our brains to latch onto that.
Yeah.
And it's like that with the process of getting back into it too. Like once you get started, like there are people out there who can go and have a radical surgery, say like a knee replacement or something like that. And within weeks, it like already be going at it hard again. They already seem to have made a ton of progress back, things like that. And those are cool because that is possible and that is something that you can aspire to, or just it's again used positively that can be good as like positive reinforcement for a goal. But remember that those are the exceptions. And it's like, and unless you really, really want to commit to everything needed to be that exception, that's not actually how it works for most people.
You know what? I'm even going to say you probably shouldn't try and commit to doing what's needed to be the exception.
No, no, you should.
Being
No,
the exception, oftentimes it has a lot of luck to it as well. So like one of my old workout partners, I mean, he dropped tons of weight and it worked, but he did it in the stupidest way possible. And if he'd had serious health issues out of it, he could have, because he just dropped down to eating no more than 500 calories a day.
Ooh.
While also working out and doing, and I was like, he just got lucky that he didn't hurt himself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what magic combination of genetics kept him from like having some sort of horrifying health problem out of this. But sadly, people hear these stories of the exceptions and they want to be that because those stories sound cool.
Exactly.
Instead of just like doing things like a sane person. And I say that a little tongue in cheek because many of us who like athletics are a little bit insane. And so we kind of have a shaky relationship with sanity anyway. But over romanticizing people who are exceptional is actually one of the mental diseases that keeps people from being able to get to fitness or back to fitness, because they get involved in those stories instead of the nice boring story of like somebody who just like started doing 45-minute power walks and after 8 years they had a great level of fitness out of that. Like that's a boring ass story, but it works.
It's fun. Like not only that, but if you get in on that, or you start that, and as soon as you actually start talking to people about it, whether like sharing your story or talking about, like how tough it's been, but you're making progress, people almost instantly respond. And because either they get it, like, so like that sounds well, that's it. Like they just instantly know what that's like and that you're making progress. And a lot of them can relate to that. Like, oh, like I've been trying to figure that out too, or that's what I did earlier. Like it's like just simply getting started and making progress on it is actually like the relatable story. Like I said, it might seem like the boring one, but that is the relatable story that almost everybody can feel it and understand what it's like or has been through it. Like I want to show you, okay, so a boring get back to fitness through through getting started. Enter spreadsheet guy. Although this is actually written on my phone notes. So health and fitness journey. Step 1, make occasional better choices with nutrition. That's how minimal I did when I started.
I am so into this story already. This is amazing. I love this already.
Yep, and I got to scratch that one off after a while. I was like, okay, step 2A, get a minimal amount of exercise 3 to 5 times a week. Now, my goal with minimal is about like a 30-minute walk. If I throw in some push-ups, awesome. If it's that I went to karate, awesome. It might be 15 to 20 minutes because I'm tired or something, but still, I'm like, okay, that counts. So, step 2B was make good nutrition choices and try to throw in some more like fruits and vegetables, like 3 to 5 times a week. So then it's like scratch those off. Then I have step 3A, get a minimal amount of exercise 5 to 7 times a week. Notice it's still minimal. I'm just simply trying to go from 3 to 5 to 5 to 7. Step 3B, take health foundation like supplements or get or foods daily. And by that, I mean, again, I'm not talking like I'm adding my supplements. I mean, in this case, at this stage, I'm trying, like, I found a tea I really like, and I'm trying to just make sure that I drink it every day mindfully. Like the next thing, I want to get like a good organ, like beef organ supplement type thing. Again, just to like get some, again, like they're all food related. Like I'm not looking at pre-workouts, a fat burner, something like that. I'm just trying to get like things with
these are nutritional supplements, not like magic potion supplements.
Exactly. Like, it's not till step 4 on mine. And remember that step 2 and 3 each had an A and a B, like in exercise and nutrition. It's not till step 4 that I have increased intensity of exercise as one of my goals. And I'm not there yet. Like, I am not there yet. so I'm not. So my personal journey back to fitness is still in the minimal stage. And when we talk minimal, like I said, I've established 30 minutes as that. Is I'm lucky enough to have a driveway that it's I think the round trip down and up is like 0.2 miles or something.
Yeah, it's a pretty long driveway. I've seen the pics.
Yeah, like it might even be 0.21. I can't remember, but and it's got like a little bit of an incline coming up. So it's like for me, it's take the dog and walk the driveway for a half hour, which I've timed out to be about 5 trips. So, like I said, and that's gets the sweat. Bonus points again, like thinking kind of all around health stuff. I try to do it when I'm going to get some sunlight and just to get some vitamin D from that. So I'm literally trying to just stack those things. Again, it's like, okay, I'm already and talking about making time for it. Great example here. I'm already going to have to take the dog out for probably 10 minutes. So all I'm really doing is extending it by 20 minutes to get this done. That's it. Like I said, it's like I already know that I like when I get home from work or in the evening, it's like, okay, take the dog out to use the bathroom. So I'm just adding it to that time instead of something else like that. And then as I
love this boring ass plan. Like, I'm betting money on this boring ass plan.
This is the most boring plan. I feel great about it. Yeah, like and then as I did it, as I like started, doing it for a while, and this is what I kind of meant too about let the goal kind of start shaping up. That was my only goal for at first because I felt like I was getting that I'd fallen so many times in trying to get back in shape. And I was like, I just need to like literally find a foothold to get started and to really stick with this. Then I bought myself a pair of adjustable dumbbells. Well, again, it's not a home gym. It's one piece of equipment that I can literally do just about anything with. Like that. It's like that plus one piece of equipment that I can do multiple exercises with when I feel like adding those things in.
That's awesome.
Yep. And like, I started karate, I started karate going back to like join my daughter's karate class to be able to do that with her a few months back. And again, like I haven't made it a ton of times just from busy work schedule and things like that. But again, it's like, I'm not, and this is a guy who, that was actually the martial arts were the obsession that got me into strength and conditioning. Like when I got into that as a 15-year-old into back then it was Tung Sado and then later Kenpo karate and MMA. When I got into those things, I was training 5 or 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. So tell that guy that like, oh yeah, 25 years from now, you're going to be making it to like 2 or 3 classes a month and you're going to feel good about it. Like, again, like that wouldn't have thought it, but as I've finally reached the point of awareness to where like, oh no, this is, even if it's not going every day, this is still an overall forward progress move.
Yes. If you move forward enough inches, it turns into miles.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the plan. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
That's my story.
And there's so many things in there that are terrific because you either deliberately or stumbled upon a few little optimizations that help because you get to double dip in a few spots. You get to have some of your fitness also double as hangout time with daughter. You get some of your fitness to double as, oh, this chore I had to do anyway. So you're actually doing some other cool stuff that has a little optimization to it, which is what happens, for hopefully for the people listening to this. Over time, you start figuring out little ways to get some extra out of it if you can design things right. I have no time to listen to podcasts. However, as much as I hated to finally add it, I had to add sustained state cardio to my fitness routine because heart health is apparently important when you turn 40. And I was like, well, I guess I have podcast time now. So I now get 20 minutes of podcast time during my workout because I almost never get to actually listen to auditory content. And now I do, because I can either be miserable and do nothing with my mind, or be miserable and listen to something that distracts me from that misery.
My walks with Penelope are 30-minute podcast times.
There you go.
Like, yeah, podcast or audiobook, one or the other. Like, but again, not sweating it. There's the occasional day I'd rather listen to music. I do it, but that is actually more often than not. It's funny because
now, since we talked ego for a second, I gotta share a new thing that I have started with my fitness journey, and I finally had to get out of my ego, and it seems to have worked well. I finally had to admit that, for reasons that are unclear to me, I can either get towards my fitness goals or I can do squats. I apparently can't have both.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I think it has something to do with my height and the length of my torso, because it loads everything up into my back, and I don't get like the full body activation like I would prefer. It's way too overtaxing seemingly on my nervous system. Like, I just can't get any intensity in other exercises after doing squats.
The nervous system.
So I finally was like, you know what? I guess I do hack squats now. So all of the patron saints of lifting have turned their back on me because I don't do squats anymore. And also that seems to be helping with my fitness goals.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And that's funny because there's a lot of that. That's not as much getting back into shape part, but in fitness goals in general, there is a lot of that too. Like, you get to certain levels where, it's kind of like you have to choose your path. You can't have both. Like, you're very correct with that.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, squats are like that. That's such an important exercise. I can't not do them. But in my head, I'm like, well, okay, if a person getting back to the fitness journey, they might struggle with the same thing. Like, oh, I can't not do deadlifts. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. Kind of depends on what step you're on and what your goals are. Maybe deadlifts aren't important to your fitness anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many combinations. That in itself, honestly, could be an entire podcast, just different combinations you kind of have to make a choice between. And it's like some of them you almost have to make a choice between long term. Some of them, at least, it might just be focus related. Like, don't focus on both at the same time. But it is a very real thing. And like I said, like, irrespective of the exercise it was very key where you said something about like how it taxed your nervous system. Because that one's really big. Like I said, like, it doesn't matter what exercise it is. If you find something that just seems to be like a wreck on your nervous system, like, you're right, like, you have a choice. Like, do you continue to pursue that thing and basically fight and struggle through that cost, or do you decide to just find an alternative that lets your nervous system work more and go through it that way? There's just a lot of, like, I actually was just telling a friend of mine about this the other day, where he's gotten into jiu-jitsu pretty big the last several years. I actually don't know how many, but that was one of my big ones again back in my earlier martial art days. And I tried to go back to it a handful of times, but biggest thing for me, I told him, I was like, yeah, like, I've basically come at peace with not doing jiu-jitsu again. Despite wanting to, like, it would still be fun, but is that I have a cyst on my tailbone that I am not going through the procedure to get rid of. And like, I was like, that thing gets on the floor basically at all.
Yeah. I was going to say, you are no longer part of the butt screw crew.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I am not like it doesn't even like if I do sit-ups, let alone like pull, let alone on guard. Like, yeah, like pulling guard and moving around. So it's like, I'm like, this is no longer one of the things for me. I'm okay with it.
Well, and one of the reasons I brought up the nervous system thing, because thinking about return to fitness, because I have to talk to some of the fellows at the jiu-jitsu gym, especially when, like, because we'll get this exact person, like the avatar person that we are talking to is the 35 to 45-year-old person who comes in the jiu-jitsu gym. They did stuff before, and they feel some kind of way about the fact they're returning to their fitness journey instead of having maintained it. And they will fight to the death every round and never ever take a break, which is of course very useless to like returning to fitness. Like, you bump up gradually. And there's been a few times where I had like, look, take a rest round. It's okay. It's going to come back. Like, it's not going to come back tomorrow. You're not going to be fit tomorrow by destroying yourself today.
Yeah.
Like, take a break, let it recover.
I'm so glad you brought that up because, yeah, we definitely needed to. Is like, yeah, there's remembering that the recovery process like is equally as important in getting back into shape. And like I said, like that's part of why that is another reason while we were talking about the minimum, like using the minimal amount earlier. It like, yeah, like it helps with the planning, it helps with figuring out how to fit it in your day, but also it's just actually smoother on your body, like its ability to adapt and recover. Yeah, because yes, go. Yeah, if you've been out and you just go at it balls to the wall, essentially, like yeah, that does increase your injury risk. But even before that, even before that, it just again makes it a lot harder to stick with it if if you're constantly beating yourself up when you go out there. Like actually, like having like another example about this one actually is yeah when I went back to karate roughly 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. It came after basically not being able to go there for like a month and a half with summer schedule and vacations and trips and stuff like that. And I can't remember, it wasn't the first one. It was like the second one I went back to actually, but it was a higher intensity, higher volume class. Um, and yeah, like that is a time that I like to go at it like harder if I'm there, and I'm also like focusing on survival with my cardio because that because like that one pushed me a lot. Um, but it had like I was really sore afterwards, and not only that, but with my background, I can also tell the difference. I know the difference between when it's my muscle bellies are sore, aka like the most of the muscle, but it's or my like tendons are sore. And I was at my tendons are sore stage. I said like I'm not saying a lot of beginners can feel this, but if basically it's like if your soreness seems to actually not be like not that you're sore moving, but do you actually struggle to do like your normal range of motion? That's probably when you're too sore. So after the first few days when it came to know, I was like, hey, like I'm still in this stage, so I'm still going to give it another day or two before I try to do anything else. And like so like I'm lucky because like I said, I could actually identify that and say
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it's this. But as an example, like
And what a wonderful job staying out of your ego about it.
exactly. Um, and so think about that, like yeah, when you're getting back into it, yeah, like that's part of his. It's much more efficient to be able to get 3 or 4, again, eventually 5 days in of that minimal exercise and build it up over time than it is to do like one hard day taking you out for 5 days of the week, and then you only get like one more session in or something like that.
Yeah, and kind of back to like one of them sounds boring as hell but works. One of them sounds cool, but it just doesn't work as well. Because I worked out for 4 hours of karate class. Yeah, okay, great. I was consistent 6 days a week doing some 30-minute minimal exercise.
Yep. And there's something I want to specifically ask you about, but right before that, want to give one more specific piece of advice to the again former athletes. There will be days based on your environment, possibly if you're constantly alone, maybe not. I don't know. I can't put words in anybody's mouth, but if depending on your environment, there may be days where you feel really, really good. And if that really, really good makes you feel really inspired to do something, really take that extra time to think about it.
I was just gonna say don't. I wasn't even gonna say think about it.
Like don't is probably the smarter way to do it. Like for me, since I'm with so many teenagers or kids a lot, like I said, like if they have a lot of energy, I might be pushed into that like, oh, like I'm feeling really good today. And then again, like those weird thoughts might come up. Like, oh, do a like I kind of want to do a one arm clean and jerk today with that kid's barbell because I'm pumped up. Or like, if they're maxing, it's like, oh, like I want to jump in with them on this max because I feel good today. probably not a good idea. And I finally started actually choosing the no instead of the yes, because I had enough.
I actually don't believe in PRs anymore for myself. Like no personal records, no personal bests. Whatever happens, happens. I have been injured too many
Yeah,
times.
that doesn't mean you can't get one anymore. Like I said, just
Yeah. I don't pursue it. Like if
yep.
I bump the weight up and it's cool, whatever. But
So like I wanted to get your perspective, like especially from the emotional side of this too, and the mental side, is for people trying to get back into fitness, specifically after like it was an injury that took them out, like especially a big injury, So not talking about something that can get over with in just a few months, but someone who had really high levels of performance fitness before, and then has the type of injury that makes it unlikely that they'll ever like objectively reach that type of performance again. And I know several of these people like who have these type of situation, and yeah, it's a emotionally hard thing for them, trying to find like basically trying to keep going, like trying to find the fuel to keep them going from that. Like what's kind of some things that they're dealing with and things that would help those people.
well, the first thing would be acknowledging that it's okay for it to be hard, because a lot of people think that they're just supposed to like just fucking deal with it and it's fine, and like that they're supposed to be stoic about it. It's okay for it to be hard. Like you see this problem. I didn't realize this until somebody told me, and then I kind of looked it up. You see this problem with astronauts, people who went to the moon. Yeah, I think I specifically think I might have told you. I might have even said it on the podcast. But people who went to the moon, like that's it. I mean, there is no further peak in that area that you can go, and a lot of them, because of that very reason, they fell into like some alcoholism, depression. There's a number of them that struggled. Happily, not all of them did, but quite a number of them did. And it's the same thing, like because there's just nothing left to achieve in that area. And what you're talking about is the exact same thing. Like, maybe there's stuff that could have been achieved, but just you can't now because of the way your body is. And people will accidentally believe that they should just like get over it and stop being a crybaby, instead of like letting themselves like, yeah, it's hard and it sucks. And it's okay to be angry about that and to be sad about that. And it's okay to have to find some other place to put your energy. Because what the other side of people will a lot of times do is they'll just be in denial about it and keep trying to do what they were doing and continually re-injure themselves like in horrifying ways and really cripple themselves. So step one is acknowledge that this sucks and it's hard and it's allowed to suck, and you're allowed to cry into your pillow about it, and you're allowed to like just want to punch a wall about it, and it's fine that you feel like shit about it. Mm-hmm. And then find ways to put your energy somewhere else. It can be into a different area of athletics. We've seen some people pivot into like, okay, cool, I can't lift anymore, but I'm still interested in athletics, but I can run. All right, great. Some people are lucky that way. Or I can do athletics adjacent. Like, okay, I can't quite do like skill like I did. Like I can't be an ultra high level tennis player because my knees don't work, but I've still got amazing hand-eye coordination. So I become a championship level juggler or something. So some people can kind of like pivot into similar or adjacent places. But no matter what, see, people who have like a hunger and a drive, you can't just be like, all right, I will not have hunger and drive anymore. Like, it's not really how it works. It's figuring out where can I put it that is emotionally acceptable to me. And happily, you do see a lot of people who have this very thing happen who turn to coaching and can be very interested in that. But that's not always the path, because some people are like, they're hungry and they would not mind a coach, but maybe they're just crappy teachers and they don't have like the teacher gene in them. But yeah, putting the energy somewhere, but allowing yourself to like just feel bad. Like it's okay to feel bad when you aren't able to do your thing.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad you brought up especially if you are somebody who has kind of had that hunger and drive, you can't. That's not something to turn off. I mean, like everything you said was great. Like number one, allow yourself to feel that anger and sadness with it. And yeah, there are so many other options actually when it comes to fitness that I think people like a lot of people just don't. They either don't think about because we're naturally just focused on the same direction we were at before, especially if that's what we're missing, that we don't think about the other avenues. I have one friend who, like, I can't, she was some former college athlete. I can't remember. But then she became a really high level strong woman. And now she's getting ready for like her second bodybuilding show. So like strength sports are actually fantastic for this, I think, because there are so many niches that people don't realize are there. Um,
Mm.
so it allows that. Like another one is like I it's technically growing, but that doesn't mean anybody's heard of it. Is grip sport like that? Like like just literally like your hands, just
Just like squeezing stuff.
yeah. Like there are so many nuances
Oh.
to grip. Um, like people would be amazed at the varieties of grip strength that are out there. And again, it's actually in a sport. So again, if you're somebody who loves lifting, but yeah, it's like you've wrecked your back too many times, your knees, it's set, or like all that stuff. It's like, but you still have, functional hands and arms, at least one of them, then that's an option for you. And even thought, thinking about even tragic terms, just made me think about it when you were talking. The movie Remember the Titans, that's based on a true story.
I was thinking of Jerry as you were like saying that. Jerry
I
Bertier.
I
Yes.
can't remember the names, but yeah, the kid, yeah, who got like paralyzed in the car accident, he became a gold medal winning like shot put from a wheelchair, like Paralympic
Mhm.
athlete or something like that. And again, apologies for probably not getting 100% right, but I know that he became like a world champion
No,
in.
that was it because like literally his story was what was in my head. I just wasn't
Oh
going to
yeah.
quote the movie, but like,
Um,
yeah, that's
but yeah, so he went from, I mean, yeah, like being a high level football star to, yeah, sudden paralysis. I mean, like I said, you can't get much more injured than that. To still finding something to channel himself into, and like so there's so many options out there like that, or like it's just crazy. Like I love, I don't know if it's life or if it is because yeah, I'm 41 now too or something like that, but I do love seeing like stories of people changing successfully. This is not injury based, but another aspect of this really could be just age, is just another part. Randy Johnson, the professional baseball pitcher, one of the best pitchers of all time, and he pitched for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that, and he is now a professional photographer, and like he loves it. It's like the chillest like job you could possibly have.
I feel like I remember that. Now that you say that, I kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah,
I feel
send it
like I
to
remember
you
that now.
because he's famous. One of those baseball things is he's famous for being the guy who like exploded a bird on live TV with a fastball,
Yes.
and like an upside down bird with feathers in the air is his logo for his photography company. It's like the best self awareness of all, like
That's amazing.
from a former athlete. But he just found something else like that. So I mean, yeah. So like just so like really like say if it's like that, like anyway. So when injury is the case, and like I said, like the likelihood of getting back to the same fitness you were at before seems exceptionally daunting, if not actually being impossible. Because again, like that could be just like you're saying. One is like realize that's okay, like come to that, like, and you're allowed to have all the feelings about it. But two, like if you still want, if it's you still feel that hunger to compete and work for something, there are probably things out there for you to do. And if you're actually finding that you don't feel a lot of drive or hunger, that's okay. There's probably real like more relaxing, peaceful things for you to do as well. Like, yeah, you can go be a gold medalist in the Paralympic game shot put and like to go stay with that drive, or you can go become a wildlife photographer. So like there are all these options to it. Just don't stay in one place feeling sorry about it.
Very much so. There's a thing that's worth mentioning that I promised right at the top of the thing, and we didn't get to it. Happily, it doesn't require a lot of explanation. So circling back to it for a brief moment is not going to take up too much time. But I did mention that chunking goals was important. We talked about it, and then I also mentioned for the person getting back to fitness, some people do better if they just don't even have too much of a goal and they just like do the day-to-day process. That's worth mentioning. Some people get so fixated on goals that they feel bad that they're not there, and it's just really difficult for them to not feel bad that they're not there. And I got this idea from somewhere. I can't remember. It was talking about the difference between goal-oriented people and process-oriented people. And it's worth knowing that there's a small subset of people who just do better if they don't even really define goals so much, like, oh, I want to be able to lift this much. I want to be this athletic. I want to be able to run this mile. But instead, get as vague as possible and then just do things that will eventually result in that, which is kind of what chunking does too. But in a way, the focus is just different. You're not even focused on a goal. You're much more focused on just like, oh yes, I want my cardio to be better, so I just do things that do that with no focus at all on, I want to run a mile, I want to run a marathon, I want to run an ultra. And same thing with any of them, like lifting. I want to be stronger. Fine, just then every day I go do things at the gym that just would result in stronger if I did them long enough. I bring that up because a lot of people who used to be fit, the goals that they wanted, much like you were talking about with the injury, are no longer really achievable. Because, like, I'm 45. Or excuse me, I'm 40. And if I'm a 45-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, well, maybe my goal when I was 20 was to win the Super Bowl. I ain't going to get to that if I'm 55. And like, so instead, what I would do is like, okay, well, what do I want out of my fitness? Let me just forget about the goal and just work on the process.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You saw me over here looking on the side. I was actually checking my notes with where I keep like our topics and things like that handy, because I was wondering if I had texted you about this already. So I was like, did we already talk about this? Like, as an upcoming topic or something? Because I actually had this exact conversation with one of my clients last week, and in his case, it was he's a veteran, and in an injured, and he went through pretty serious injuries while there, but he's still a very fit individual. But he talked to me last week about not having any goals, and it was weird for him, and he didn't know what to do. And it was like, and so I talked to him. I was like, what I've found, like, for one, if any come to you, cool, let me know, and that's great. But I told him, I was like, what I would say right now is, he's in his second phase of getting into the work. I was like, just we keep focusing on this. At the end of this workout, at this workout phase, I will add in just like an assessment where he can, go at the things he's already been doing a little bit, see where he's at, to give him a benchmark. And then, like, so at least he kind of has that, this is where I was at this point with what I was doing. Let me see if I can get better over time with it. And then I was like, so we can start that, so you have something to improve if over time. But otherwise, something comes up, let me know. A lot of times, just from being around it, those goals might pop up. But like, having to work to a goal is like, I thought you had to for a really long time. Like, I thought it was the key to success.
And if you read productivity stuff, they'll insist that it's the key to success.
Yep. It's like, oh, like, I have to have this defined and I have to get there. But yeah, like, so much of it is really just like you said, just doing the daily or semi-weekly, whatever, of the steps to get back in shape and get better at it, and then just let it go. Like, a lot of people, I think, underestimate how goals will become apparent to them. That's how we figure out most of our goals anyway. It's like, you're around something enough, then you might want to do it. You might just get into running just because you're tired of feeling out of shape and you need to improve your heart health. and lose some weight. But say if you've been running for 6 months, 9 months pretty regularly, and you keep doing it, you keep seeing it, you might actually get interested in that like turkey trot 3K next time
Yeah.
around. Oh, like I might do something like this again. Like that wasn't a goal that you had, but you basically ran yourself to it. That's
Yeah.
a
Like when I got in martial arts, I mean, my original goal was like, I'd been bullied when I was little. So I was just wanted to make sure I could defend myself. And now it's like just now interesting puzzles like, oh, I wonder if I can fold a person up in this way while
yeah.
they're resisting. And
Yep.
then
I,
now it's
I
just
would
like,
say, yeah, I would say fully half of the members we have had at Viking Performance Training who competed in strongman, at least half of them, if not more, were people who just came to the gym to get back in shape, zero competitive thoughts in their mind whatsoever, and just simply being in the gym with strongman equipment, occasionally getting to use it in their workouts, and seeing other people coalesced into a desire to compete down the road, just to see what they could do.
yeah, like, oh, look, there's an Atlas stone. I wonder if I can pick it up.
Yep,
Huh. I wonder if I can pick it up better than these people.
exactly. So yeah, like, and it all started with just simply wanting to get back in, getting in shape, getting in that process.
Yeah.
So, all right, brother. Is there anything else you want to add or bullet point here? We got a lot of
No, man, I think we've hit it well.
so awesome. All right, everybody. Again, thank you for listening. So, like, this is a big one. Something I've been going through a lot myself with my own get back to shape as a guy who owns a gym journey. And let's talk to JP about it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with our next topic. Again, check out the actual podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Asymmetric Habits, and we will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
See y'all.